Hello and welcome to an Age of Empires Definitive Edition tutorial on the map Inland. So in this video we're going to be looking at how to play the map Inland and what are the specific qualities for that map. So basically we're just looking for our berries here. Okay, we found them over here. Now we can just take the basic berry start in this map. That's the most common start for inland maps. Sometimes you might be wanting to go for a shorefish start. If you happen to find shorefish somewhere nearby, you can already see it basically, but it's not worth going looking for that specifically, because you never know where that might appear. So we'll just start our basic gameplay over here. Next thing we're going to be doing is looking for our gazelles. But the one thing you should know that you can right away test from the start of the map is that if there are any rivers or crossings on the map or not. So basically now we have our villager over here. We want to click him to an opposite corner here, here and here. And depending on where this villager wants to path when we click, so if we want to go directly to the direction we're clicking him to, we cannot tell if there's a river or not in the way. But if he wants to go somewhere else completely, we know that there is a river in that direction. So for example, if we click somewhere here, and now the villager, we can see, instead of going to the direction that we told him to go, here to 10 o'clock, he's going up. So we know that there's a river or water between us, or a large cliff or something, but basically this will tell us that there's a river, very likely on the map, and it is between our base and this spot over here. So now we know that there must be also a crossing in the direction that this villager is trying to path to. So because controlling these crossings is very important for our game here, we will want to find the crossing and we will want to see what kind of water we have near the crossing there as well. But it's now clear to us that our enemy cannot basically be here on this side of the river, because we know that there will be no crossing over here over the river, and if there is a river on the map, the enemy will always spawn on the other side of the river. So now we know that it's very likely that this area is relatively safe for us. We know that this area might be safe, not sure, and we know that the enemy is somewhere on this side of the river. So the river might go from here, it might go from here, and we just happen to click on the other side. We don't quite know yet, but basically we have knowledge that there is a river over there, and once we're pathing to it, but the first thing we want to do in a game like this is just normally find our gazelles. Okay, those are our gazelles over there. They're not perfectly placed, I would say. I would really like better gazelles than this, and basically just push them to the town center from over here, like you would on any other normal land map for us. So we'll just keep pushing this guy. Pushing these gazelles from over here to get some food for us, and then we'll probably go and check for try and get the elephant from over there to come help us out while we're at it. And now we'll just go and catch our... What are you doing over there? Just catch these gazelles from over here, and this guy will be our third woodcutter here. And we probably want the fourth one, because on the map of... Oh, I didn't click you across the river. Okay, there we go. So, on the map Inland, like I said, we do have a river, but we also have a large lake. Now, the large lake is very important to us, because there's usually a lot of food in that lake in question. So let's just make this, and there we can see the first crossing already, so we know for sure it was a river and not just a random happening. Oh, no. This is, of course, something you have to be a little bit careful about if you're next to the river, because there can be this situation that you can end up into, and it's not a very nice one. Now let's just go. Okay, that's uphill. It's not a great place to put your storage beds, but it will do for us here now. And this one should be going to get us the other one. Okay, now we know that the river is over here. And we know that there's a crossing over here. Now, we probably want to just follow the river over here. And try and see if we can find the deep water here, where most of the fish is going to be. So. Now we don't want to make too many villagers here, because again, this is still a land map, and most important thing for us on a land map like this is to get up pretty fast and have enough resources for our production here. Now we could dock this river here, and that's what I'm gonna do, because we will need to be up at some point and get some more food economy going on, so this fish is going to do that for us. And now we'll just going to drop here and click, and basically send most of these guys over there into the wood, so we have 14 on wood here, and the rest will stay on food. Now you can see we're a little bit late. We've got 22 pop and so forth, but it's not too bad. This should be still fine. Fine for us here, and we can see there's one fish, but we want to keep looking for that. Wanna keep looking for the extra fish here, because that will not sustain us for a long time. Okay, and here there are more fish. So you never want to make a dock on inland, especially if you don't see any food near it. So this looks here, there are three fish over here, so we can just make another dock here later on once we get our economy going. But we still want to find the deep water here somewhere. And now this looks like a good spot basically, but we still don't see any deep water. But it's still very likely that there is some kind of deep water available here, and we can make one clapper here for our start, depending on what we want to do next. Maybe we want slings, or maybe we want to make archers here in case he goes scouts or there's access. Okay, so now we know there are two spots for our fish over here. Now you've seen basically the start that you want to go for. You want to put a couple of you guys, or basically the basic berry start with 6, and then you want to put 4 guys on wood here when you're looking for your extra food gazelles. You always start with your gazelles on the basic 20 tile radius from your town center, so that works quite nicely. Now you can find elephants on the map, as you saw me just find some. Those are random, they don't appear, so you can't count on those. But basic berry start, then if you put the 4 on wood early on, you can afford your pit early, and you can afford your dock by the time you're going up to tool. So you're basically just looking for the dock spot with your scout over there. And once you find your dock spot, the idea is that you keep making fishing boats, and now once you're up to tool, you can have your economy basically sustained with the fish production from over here, and then you can keep making your army as well. Now if you find some extra food, you don't need to transport these berry wells to your wood, but basically just keep going as the map depends from you too. But the basic thing is you start with the berries, and then afterwards you clicked, you sent 40 into wood, so you will have enough for your barracks and your second barracks if you're going slingers, and maybe archer range if you're going archers once you got up to tool, and while keeping up your fishing boat production. So this is the basic idea. And now let's take a look at the map. Now this is the map you just saw me play blind. So like I said before, if you take your villagers and you click them to edges of the map, if you click here, it will path straight to that, so you don't know if there's a river or a crossing across that. Now if you click here, it will still path straight from here, because the crossing is right here, so again you cannot know if there's a river. And then once you click here, you can see if your villager started going another direction. Instead of going straight here where it should, it started going this way, and there was nothing in the way, there was no forest or anything in the way. So you know that there's a river in in between us and this point, and that also means we know that there's no crossing on this side, which will allow us to have a safe, in quotation marks, let's say safe economy on this side over here, because we know the crossing is over here. Now that we've also across the crossing, we can keep our tabs on the crossing if there's an enemy coming across. Now in this case, we went over because we had to kill the crocodile, but we left the house here so we can see if anything runs by the house or not, to keep tabs on where we are here. And now if you're taking out the basics, if you don't go across and you don't kill the crocodiles are an excellent marker because you can see the crocodiles moving through the fog, or if somebody kills them through the fog. So if somebody kills the crocodile, you know somebody came across this. And then we just explored this river, hoping to find the deep water with more fish. There's always some fish in the river, as you can see here. We made the dock here when we saw that one fish over here, because we didn't see any better spot at that time yet. But we made the other one over here because we saw more fish over here. And as you can see here, we're going into the deep water. Now the deep water isn't always right at the corner, and it is not always connected to the river. But it's a pretty good idea if you have a river to just follow the river into a corner of some sort, just so you can find this. But as you can see, this one over here is not connected to the river. It's just on the edge here for the deep water as well. So there's a second deep on this inland creation. Now these can be very sought after, and usually if you don't go for this, you could basically assume that your enemy has this already, so you need to go all in and kill him before he manages to make use of that. But if you look at the map more specifically, now this map has a couple interesting features here. The main thing is that all of the gold spawns on this map, inland, always have 7 gold in them, so you cannot tell if you're near an enemy base when you see a gold pile or not, because they always have 7. It's no idea if that's an enemy gold pile or if it's a natural gold spawn on the map. You just don't know. The stone spawns instead tell you always if you're near an enemy or not, and how close you are to an enemy or not. So we have 2 kind of stone spawns here. We have the one with the 7, which is roughly 30 tiles from an opponent TC or yours. And we have an 8 pile of stone, which is always close to an enemy town center. We're talking less than 20 tiles from an enemy town center. So if you see an 8 pile of stone, you know you're near a town center on a map of inland. And if you see a 7, you know you're pretty close. So if you're, for example, wanting to paint your racks, painting them by the 7 stone would be an excellent selection here, for example, on this hill, because you know it's not right next to the enemy TC, so you have a little bit more leeway on an enemy finding you or not, but you know it's close enough to go and hit them with the proxy attack or something like that. Now, elephants, like I said, appear naturally on this, so do gazelles, so there are natural elephant and gazelle and berry spawns on the map. So these will not tell you anything, but you know if you need to find some extra food instead of you starting gazelle and extra berry, you can still find the gazelles and elephants on the map somewhere, you just don't know where. And the another thing, like I mentioned, the river over here, it can have more than one crossing, and you can also have an inland without the river. So if your villager doesn't pass strangely to any corner of the map, basically, then you should assume it's a map without the river, but it will still always have this deep water that you want to find for denying enemy of that fish or for fishing that for yourself for the economy. And another extra thing here is that there are special type of trees on this map. So if you see a map tree that's called tree elm or tree forest dead, you know you're next to an enemy town center. So if you take a look at the map here and we check, here we have maples and here we have a tree dead forest. So once there's a tree that says tree dead forest over here, you know an enemy town center is within like 14 tiles of that tree. Now that's very close, so that's an easy way to know if you wanna proxy or barracks or if you wanna evade that with your scouting villagers or something. So here's another type of tea that's only specific for spawning near town centers, and that's the tree elm. So if you see a tree dead forest or a tree dead elm, you know you're near an enemy town center if you want to place a rocks or something. And there's no need to explore anymore. And the same thing can be, of course, you go to an enemy side, you see this tree dead forest, you know you're near an enemy town center. Or this tree elm, you know you're near an enemy town center. Now something else, try tree elm autumn or just tree dead, does not tell you anything. But if you see stragglers that are tree dead forest, for example, this is just a tree dead, you know this doesn't tell you anything. But the tree dead forest over here, this tells you this is an enemy town center nearby. Because anything else here cannot be a tree elm, and they cannot be a tree dead forest spawn. These are just tree dead or just tree elm autumns. So with that, you should be able to know how to start on an inland map. You should be able to know that you should be looking if there's a river on the map or not, like by clicking on the corners. And then you should know that you should be looking for this deep water for your fishing economy to go to. And you know when you start, when you're clicking up to your tool edge, you should have a dock going up roughly at the same time as well, so you can upkeep your fishing boat production. And then you just basically play it how you like from that point onwards. And I hope this has been helpful to you. And I hope this will help you in your gameplay going forward. So, without further ado, I'll let you guys get out here. So, thank you for watching and best of luck on the battlefield.